Hi, I'm Jess.
And I'm Sid.
And this is the Book Boyfriend Project.
So in today's video / episode
Podcast.
because we're also recording as we film a video. So if you guys are listening to the podcast, there is also a video component to this, and we're actually going to be inserting the book covers on the screen. So if you kind of want to see what we're talking about while we're chatting about it, definitely head over to our YouTube channel. It'll be linked down below. But in today's episode, we are going to start a new series, and we're calling it New Wines and Spines. Or New Spines and Wines? New Wines and Spines.
It was New Wines and Spines.
New Wines and Spines. And we had drinks, but they're gone.
Yeah, they're gone. We filmed a book haul episode before this, and that was my first time actually recording for a YouTube video or whatever, so I was a little nervous, so they kind of just went through really quickly.
It's fine.
It's whatever.
But typically what we'd like to do with this series is not only chat about new books that we're excited about that have come out in the past month or so, or that are coming out in the coming months, but we'd also like to share a new cocktail, a new wine, a new beverage,
some kind of drink.
Sort. Yeah. So that's kind of our plan for this series, but let's hop into the new spines.
Of course. So Sid, why don't you tell them about your first book?
Okay, so my first book is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. I'm a huge Christina Lauren fan. I kind of discovered her earlier this year, late last year, and I just really fell in love with her books. I kind of binged all of them, and they're all fantastic. And her newest book is called The Soulmate Equation, and this one's actually set to come out in May of next year, which it's so long. I don't want to wait that long to read it, but I don't have a choice. This one is about a single mom named Jess Davis. She works in data and statistics, and she has kind of had a bit of a rough life. She's been raised by her grandparents. She has a daughter. She's a single mother. Her ex-husband decided that he didn't want to be a father when their daughter was 6, and he just up and left. And so she's basically just kind of focusing on her career, focusing on raising her daughter and creating a better life for them. And dating is really not on her radar, but this is a Christina Lauren book, so there's a love interest somewhere in there. So she hears about this dating program called Genetic Ally, and it's a new DNA-based matchmaking company. Jess is giving me a look. It's an interesting premise, and
you can't find love through your genetics. That's not a thing.
This is my rom-com dream world, okay?
Okay, I now have to read this because what?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
So since it's more fact-based and number-based, Jess is yeah, I'll try it, since she's a statistician and that's kind of her language.
I mean, I would love this, and that would definitely be my language as an analytical-minded person.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that's just not how love works.
It's not. Technically, in this world it is.
Okay.
So she takes part in this program, and she's actually a 98% match with the founder, Dr. River Pena. And she's shocked because she already knows him, and there's no sparks between them. But the company has a proposition for her. They're you know what, go on a couple dates, see if you fall in love. You guys are such a good match, we really want to use you for PR and all that. And so she's okay, fine, if you're gonna pay me, I'll give it a shot. And you guys know, they fall in love. They have to fall in love somehow, some way, somewhere.
Oh my.
I think it sounds cute.
I mean,
why are you exasperated?
Because love is this mystical, magical thing, and you can't pin it down by numbers. I love numbers in every other situation in my life, but do not give me numbers in my love life. I can't. Don't do that. Unless I'm setting a timeline. Then give me all of the numbers, because I love timelines.
Love your timeline.
Love timelines.
I'm surprised you haven't laminated it and hung it on your wall.
You know what? Maybe I will go home and spite laminate a timeline
Please
for
do.
you.
Please do. I would be honored if you did that. Oh my god, don't drop my laptop. Flashbacks to 2 years ago when I dropped it and the screen shattered.
Okay guys, so my first book that I'm going to be talking about today is technically the second book in a series. It's called Devilish Mate by Elizabeth Briggs, and I'll be honest, I haven't read the first book, but I'm going to tell you about the first book. So this girl's best friend goes missing, and so she goes to the King of Sin City, Lucifer, the billionaire CEO of Abaddon Inc. So obviously Lucifer is going to be Lucifer, and he's going to be like the king of the underworld, blah, 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 blah. The bottom of it says it is a Hades and Persephone story retelling, which I'm always super, super interested in. I love Greek mythology. It hits a sweet spot for me. And so I'm super interested in this. Mainly, I'm interested in how the second book, because I didn't totally recognize it was book 2 in a series, so I kind of read the synopsis, and it says, it has this line in it where it's like, I've lived 1,000 lives and he's found me in every single one, and somehow I die tragically young in every single life, and typically in his arms. And I'm like, I love soul reincarnation books. This just has all of the pointers for me, and I'm super excited to read the first book and then, have a very short wait, I hope, for the second one.
That sounds really interesting. I'm not always into the, I don't know,
Reincarnation thing?
No, more the hell thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I am.
But I don't hate it though.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I love the whole back and forth of the demons and the devils actually being the good guys and the angels being the uptight bad guys. I don't know.
It's always interesting to hear.
Know. I have quite a few of those books where I'm into them.
So my next book is All I Want for Christmas by Wendy Loggia. I feel like that's wrong. Loggia?
I don't know.
It's fine. We'll write it in the description down below. You guys can pronounce it however you want to. But this is obviously a Christmas book, and I hesitated to include Christmas books because we have so much holiday content planned for you guys. We are so excited about it, but this one just captured my heart, and I was so excited. So this one follows Bailey Briggs. She is a Christmas fanatic. She's counting down the days till Christmas. She has a Christmas bucket list. She's baking cookies. She's going on sleigh rides. She's all about Christmas. She's in the Christmas spirit, and she really just wants someone special to spend Christmas with and kiss under the mistletoe. And she, I don't know if they're frenemies or what, but she's it's definitely not Jacob Marley, which apparently has a British accent, and he's an athlete, but he has questionable taste in girlfriends. So obviously I feel this is gonna be a frenemies to lovers trope. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting from it.
Probably.
And
I feel half of Christmas books are frenemies to lovers.
Absolutely. Christmas is magical and it brings people together, so
obviously
I'm totally fine with it being a little bit cheesy, a little bit predictable, but I love that because I feel not that I'm looking for someone to meet me under the mistletoe, because I'm in a relationship, but I feel I am a Christmas fanatic and my boyfriend is not, so I kind of like the idea of sprinkling all the Christmas magic all over him.
Yeah,
I like that premise a lot. That makes me happy.
Yeah, it would definitely make me happy as well. So my next book is going to be The Crown of Shadows. It is the first book in A Court of Midnight and Deception. So the Fae of the Night Court are desperately searching for the next queen, and the main character is going to be half Fae, half human, and they are going to announce that she is the next queen of the Night Court. And so she's going to become the unwilling Fae queen, and right off the bat, I was like, yes. She doesn't have to marry the king to become the queen. She doesn't have to do any of that crap. She's just straight up the queen, and I love the girl power I feel this book is going to give me. So she inherits this mess of a court. She has to deal with it being almost bankrupt, the citizens backstabbing one another, and someone trying to assassinate her. So apparently, I'm guessing it sounds like the assassin that is supposed to be the one murdering her is going to be the love interest, which I'm just super interested to see how that's going to play out, and I'm super excited for this one to come out. I have so many books releasing the week before Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So I don't know how much family time I'm gonna be getting.
Move over, Mom. I have a book to read.
Obviously.
I'm gonna need to push back Thanksgiving dinner a couple hours. I gotta finish this.
I don't know.
I've got homework to do. Get out. Okay, you guys, so this next one is one that I'm super excited about. I just finished A Court of Thorns and Roses, the 3 books that are currently out, and A Court of Silver Flames is the next book that's coming out in the series, and it's coming out February 16th of 2021, which is killing me inside a little bit. But this book, okay, so Jess is currently reading the first book.
I am.
So I'm going to try to make this as spoiler-free as possible. So after the events of the first 3 books, things have kind of been settled with our main character, Feyre. So at this point, it follows her sister, Nesta, and her kind of journey after the events that take place.
That's the eldest one that I was like
yes.
super annoyed with.
Jess kind of hates Nesta right now, and we all kind of hate Nesta for a little while, but she does have some slight character development in the 3rd book.
I'm skeptical.
I mean, I don't love her, but like I'm interested enough to see kind of how her life takes place in this new world that she's kind of entered at the end of this series and how she adapts to it, because like at the end of this trilogy she's like very bitter and very angry, just very resentful of the circumstances that have been like thrust upon her at this point. So I love Sarah J. Maas. She's an incredible writer, and I'm really excited to see where this book goes, you know? I know, you're skeptical. You just have to finish the books.
Skeptical.
You have to finish the trilogy.
I will finish the trilogy and maybe give this a try.
Okay, well you have till February to do it, so.
Yes, I have until February to read 3 books. It's such a challenge.
That was so sassy. Oh my gosh.
I mean, why wouldn't it be sassy? I'm the sass master.
You are the sass master.
Okay, guys, so next up we have Return to Grace by Bethany Surreira, I think is how you would say it. So the main character is Leah Abernathy. She is living in New York City. She has a great job. She has a great apartment. She has a corporate lawyer boyfriend. Not fiance yet. So she ends up getting a phone call that changes everything. I'm guessing sounds very like a tragic phone call, so I'm thinking someone died in her family. So she has to go back to her small hometown, and she hasn't been back in 7 years, and she starts reconnecting with like her family, her friends, and her old high school boyfriend. And so it's supposed to be like a 4-part series, and obviously we are going to fall back in love with the high school boyfriend. I mean, obviously, and we're gonna probably move back to the small hometown. I don't expect to really get a ton of that in the first book, just because obviously she's probably not going to make the decision to move back home until the 3rd book, so it's probably going to be like
You think?
I think. I mean, typically if it's going to be like a 4-part thing and it's not going to be a standalone kind of series, then it probably won't be till like this end of the 2nd or beginning of the 3rd book where she actually decides to move back.
That's possible.
And so it's probably gonna string out the love triangle for at least 2 books.
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like in the first one, like her and the corporate boyfriend will try to make it work, and she's slowly gravitating towards the high school boyfriend, and then they like kiss at the end of the book, and that's the cliffhanger.
Yes. Yep. That's what I'm probably leaning towards. And I'm kind of really excited because I haven't read one of those where it's like a second chance romance in a little bit. So I'm excited for this one.
I feel like I love the sound of that, like as a book, but like in real life, like I would never move back. Never ever.
No.
Over my dead body.
Yes.
Okay, so my next book is Love and Olives, and this is definitely a YA romance. This is by Jenna Evanswelch, and I read her first book. Mostly the reason why I was drawn to this one because I read the first one. I think it's called Love and Clovers or something like that. It's basically the premise of that book was this girl is going on this trip to Ireland. I think someone is getting married in her family. I want to say it's like her very wealthy aunt or something like that, her like movie star aunt. And she's like had her heart broken just before this trip, and like this trip is kind of like her healing journey to get over that heartbreak. And so I absolutely love that one. This one sounds like it's going to be a little bit different. It's about Liv Varenakis. She has a Greek last name. It's a little bit of a mouthful. I feel like I butchered it.
Probably. I feel like we butcher most things that are in a different language.
Yeah, we do. It's bad.
I feel like our English tongues just aren't meant to make all of the curves and such that foreign languages require.
True. I like to try them. So this follows Liv Liz V. And it kind of introduces her as not having a good relationship with her father. He fled back to Greece, so I'm kind of assuming that they live in the US. He fled back to Greece when she was only 8, and really the only thing that they kind of shared or had this bond over were Greek myths and the lost city of Atlantis. And so I'm kind of assuming that they're pretty much estranged, and then out of the blue, her father she receives a phone call from her father saying that National Geographic is filming a documentary about his theories about Atlantis, and he's like, can you fly out here and help me? And like, part of me is like, I would never say yes, but also, like, Greece is gorgeous. So maybe it'd be worth it for the beaches and the food and the views.
Yes.
And obviously there's going to be a Greek boy in here somewhere, so fulfill my traveling pants dreams, please.
Did they even... I've never watched the Traveling Pants. Do they actually...
You haven't?
I haven't.
Did you read the books?
No.
Oh my god! Jess!
Oops.
Okay, we're doing that. Soon. Very soon.
But do they actually travel?
The pants or the people?
The people.
The people don't travel, but the pants do.
The pants travel between the people.
Yes.
Yeah, I knew that part, but I thought, the way that you said that, I thought that the people traveled.
No. One of the girls spends her summers in Greece. And there's this boy named Kostos, and there's this whole thing with him, and...
Okay, I get it.
He is my Greek dream. Okay.
Okay.
So basically when she gets there, things are super awkward. Like, of course she has tons of questions. They haven't really seen each other or talked a whole lot in so long. And she's like nervous because of course, like, it's her dad. She wants to impress him. She wants him to be proud of her. And she's kind of taking this risk, but she's like, I'm gonna go to Santorini. It's beautiful there. And I have this opportunity to kind of reconnect with my father. So I'm excited, I think. I mean, I am excited. That's why I put it in this video. This episode. I thought there was a little more romance in here when I picked this book out earlier, but I guess we'll have to see how the story develops and where it takes us.
Alrighty, so the next book on my kind of list is Rejected by Jaymin Eve, and last week we actually did kind of an anti-TBR list, and I ranted on and on about the rejected mate trope with werewolves.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, Jess.
However, this one is like, she's a wolf shifter growing up in a strong pack. She should be living her best life, but her father tried to kill their leader, and so she's basically like an outcast, a traitor, and such. And I'm guessing they probably killed her dad, because I mean, that's what werewolves do. You try to kill the alpha, they kill you, whatever. So she tries to run away, but they like bring her back because they don't want to lose their little punching bag anymore. And then she shifts, and I guess the first shift in this book is what reveals their true mate, and so it ends up being the alpha's son, obviously, and he obviously rejects her. The book is called Rejected. And so her soul is like screaming at this, and apparently it summons the shadow beast, the shifter god, the devil himself, and turns out being rejected by my mate was only the beginning. And that's kind of why I was like interested in this. Not only is it written by Jaymin Eve, which I've read quite a few books by, and she's an amazing author. She pairs with a couple of my other favorite authors a lot of the time, and that's why I'm willing to give this book a try. But I'm thinking that instead of like pining away and wanting her one true mate, I'm hoping that she ends up like their like shifter god ends up like wanting to like make her his mate, and he like punishes her one true mate, and that's what I'm hoping for out of this book.
I feel like it's more gonna be like her true mate is going to like man up and like save her from the shifter god or whatever.
I don't want that. I want the shifter god to be like...
That's my prediction.
Yeah. Well, I'm like semi-excited for this. I put it on here because like it is by one of my favorite authors. And so I'm on the fence, but I'm interested enough to include it in this list.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys, so my final pick for this video is Rent a Boyfriend by Gloria Chao, I believe. And I have this weird, okay, it's not weird. I have this fascination with books where it's like rent a boyfriend, rent a bridesmaid, rent a wedding date, you know? I really like that trope because I feel like it's just an interesting take on, it's almost like coworker romance, kind of, like a little bit.
A little bit. I feel like it's more one of like the mail order bride kind of things.
Yeah. I don't love that, but like I think it's a fun trope in romance novels, and especially when it kind of like spirals out of control. I kind of love that, like when you invite them to dinner and then they're like attending your sister's wedding in 6 months, and I think that's really fun. But anyways, this one follows Chloe Wang. She is very nervous to introduce her parents to her first boyfriend because she's never had a boyfriend, and she really just wants to make her parents happy. In this book, it kind of sounds like it's the traditional, I don't want to say Asian trope because I feel like that's not politically correct, but like where Asian children feel a lot of pressure from their parents to date other Asian people or people with very specific characteristics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's prevalent in quite a few books. And so she finds this agency and she picks out this guy who she thinks her parents will love. And the love interest's name is Drew Chan. He says that his passion is really art, but his parents have cut him off because he dropped out of college. And so he's kind of just doing this rent-a-boyfriend thing on the side to keep a roof over his head. And really all that he's there for is to convince her parents that, you know, he's a good guy and she doesn't need to accept a proposal from Hongbo, who is the wealthiest young bachelor in their like little friend group. And of course then she falls in love with Drew. That's exactly where this book is going. But
obviously
I just love it. I think it's a fun little like nighttime read that makes me feel warm and cozy inside, you know?
Yes, I feel like that could be potentially frustrating just because, I don't know, my mother was very laid back in how she raised me, and so I do not like the ones where there is like a lot of parental control kind of thing. It rubs me the wrong way because I never had any of that growing up. So my last book of the episode is Tell Me You're Mine, The British Billionaires, which is kind of like the series title, by J.S. Scott. So a chance encounter between a secretive billionaire and a PR expert could be the perfect solution to both of their problems. She likes to play it so safe in her professional life as a public relations fixer, which I just had like Olivia vibes from like Scandal. I had like Olivia vibes, like this like white hat wearing, like pantsuit wearing chick just walking up to DC because that's what Scandal is about, and she like fixes like the president's scandals and everything. And so I love public relations fixers and everything, like PR managers. They feel like very powerful to me, and so I love like those kind of things. Damien is this like guy that she has an instant attraction to him, and he, you know, is on the flight next to her from like London to Los Angeles. His British accent does like crazy things to her like insides, and then, you know, like the spontaneity haunts her, and then she meets him as like, I think she's supposed to be like his PR manager, and he like hires her or something. It doesn't really give a lot of description in the thing. This like synopsis is basically just filled with a bunch of descriptions about how hot Damien is, so I will spare you those details and you can just read them for yourself. But I'm pretty excited for this one.
That one sounds really good. I kind of like those ones where it's like, oh no, we met in a different context and we like went on a date, or like, you know, something happened, and then like we have to work together.
Yeah,
I like that context a lot.
I know, I do too.
But I think that's gonna wrap up our first installment of Wines and News Finds. You guys, thank you so much for listening.
Slash watching.
Yes. And let us know down below what new books you're excited about. Is the one that's coming out in a couple weeks, couple days, or is it a couple months? Are you waiting a very long time like we are for some of these? We'd love to chat about it with you down below. But that's gonna wrap it up for us today, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye!